Hello, and welcome to today's session on strategic portfolio management for our Q4 22 store release. I'm going to walk through three main themes that we have built this store release on. The first one is around improving alignment, which is really about flexibility to shift the perspectives to visualize that relevant work, which is going to help uncover that planning insight and ultimately what drive that strategic outcomes. The second one is modernize delivery. So we want to be able to leverage and enhance that tool set to identify and manage those common project-related tasks. And the third one is around shifting to cloud. So it's assessing which applications to migrate to the cloud and which ones to retire or even maintain on-premise. In our strategic portfolio management enhancement, there are really four items that I'm going to focus on today. The first one is under Alignment Planner Workspace. So we're going to talk about that enable planners to create and share those portfolio plans, which you will soon be able to see what that is, and how to put those goals on autopilot. We also are going to show you our new benchmarking related to SPM, which gives you that effective way to benchmark and show all the KPIs in a single dashboard as you compare against peers based on industry, region, or even size. The third area is around project workspace. So all of those that are interested in RIDAC and how can I have a better experience managing in that new next project experience, we're going to show you that one. And then the last one we're going to talk about today is export to PowerPoint, how we continue to invest and enhance this immense flexibility of our platform to export project status reports and others into PowerPoint. So let's dive into it. So Alignment Planner Workspace. So the first thing I want to talk about is a new name, you may not be familiar with it, is lenses. Now lenses is a way that we redefined a structure representing how organizations prioritize, funds, or even plans work. And what makes it really important is that organizations see things differently, and they need to visually see that data differently, whether it's an organization view, a product view, or even a strategic view. Ultimately, we call these lenses that you view your data in as portfolio plans, which is a user-defined shareable portfolio that combines all of that relevant strategy and work on a visual roadmap. And I'm going to break this down a little bit to you so that it makes sense. So how do I visualize today's landscape, all the various data, whether it's an epic, a project, a demand, or there could be other planning types that you're trying to evaluate. How can I visually see that in a structure that is meaningful to my organization? And we call that visualization lenses, which basically takes that data and it shows that data in a way that can be represented by your organization. So that could be done by what I'm seeing by departments, or maybe I want to see data based on product model or strategic programs. It basically groups and sorts and shows you that data so that you can represent that to your customers. So how do you do that? As the ultimate question is, well, that seems pretty complicated. How do you do that? And let's just kind of walk this from a persona base. So if I come in the organization and I'm a department of a BU head, maybe what's the most important to me as a department head is I want to see the data based on an organization. So my first step is to select an organization lens that I want to view all of my planning items by. The next step in the process is what organization do I want to break my organization down, and what entity types do I want to be included? Like, for instance, let's say that I have a company and I have, APJ versus EMEA. And maybe at that level is where I want to see all my planning items, or I want to break it down maybe even more granular and see an organization based on a department. I only want to include those that are in IT. So the next step really is about selecting the entity type and which entities do I want to include in the entity type. And the next step is pretty simple. It's about, okay, which planning items do I want to be included in that entity? Now, today you could do demand, projects, and epics, but there could be other planning items that you can also add. But part of this is selecting which planning item that I want, and then I can filter out. Maybe I only want to include, for instance, those projects that are high or critical. I can then filter out even more granular of which planning items I want to include. And then very simple, I would hit create and share, which gives me the ability to take that plan, create it, and determine who do I want to have visibility and shareability to this plan. So what does that look like from a overall, if I am a standard license versus pro, what functionality do I have? So if you're a standard user, if that's what they have, the organization lens is out of box. They can set that up, configure it, select that straight out of the box. And they can even configure that organization lens that matches their organization. If they're a pro user, they have the ability to not only do organization, but now they can expand to 2 other lenses that are out of box, which is strategic investment and product lens, or they can even configure their own option, which gives them up to 6 different levels that they can configure in related to that lens. So what is the benefit of this? It's really about boosting flexibility. And as you can see, we need to reduce administrative burden, right? We need to allow our planners that flexibility to really look at work from different perspectives. We need to increase alignment. We see work different. It's aligned differently. It's not aligned just by organization. It could be aligned in multiple ways. And we have to be able to save time, reduce the time to spend on creating and distributing those to team strategies. So you can see the new look. It's a wizard. Right? It's a simple step approach. I select my lens here. You can see the lens. You can see the structure. A very simple approach of being able to create this. We've made it very easy for you to create. This really allows us to put in great flexibility in the system. We also are going to talk a little about how you can put your goals on autopilot based on all these lenses that we've created. So let's walk through just a little more detail in these next couple of slides that I think will give you some great insight of how to do it. How do I have visibility to the existing plans that I have? So you notice slightly a little bit different. When I go into Alignment Planner Workspace, I have visibility to all the portfolio plans that I either have visibility to or plans that I am actually the editor of. I can select those plans and I can edit. I can go directly into those plans. You'll notice that there is one other new navigation, which is called free form roadmaps. Now, we used to call this ad hoc roadmaps. So if you're wondering, can I still do ad hoc? Absolutely. Ad hoc is easily visible right from here, and you can create those ad hoc roadmaps just like you did before. So let's walk through the scenario just as we explained. How would I create that new portfolio plan, and what are the steps that it would look like visually for me? So as we talked about, I would select the lens that I want. You select your lens that you want from a predefined lens, or you can configure and add and edit these in any state that you need. The next step, as we talked about, is selecting that entity. Now, because I did select organization, notice that I see department, business unit, and company. By me selecting at what level do I want this roadmap to be visible on, it then gives me the ability in step 2 of selecting which entities are included in that entity type. So in this example, you can see I selected department and then I selected HR. How do I know which entities that I've actually selected? At the very bottom, you can see view selected entities to determine which entities at this point have been selected. Filtering, I can filter that out at an advanced filtering so that I don't have to see hundreds of those. Maybe it's only 10, and it allows me to filter that out only for the specific, so to speak, departments that I wanted to see. The next step is pretty simple. I've selected my entity type. I've selected my entities. Now I just select which planning items that I want to include in this particular roadmap. Now out of box, you can see demand, projects, and epics, and it could be more. So if I have other planning items, they can also be added part of configuration. Now I want to just highlight here, once you select these demand, project, and epics part of this roadmap, it already builds in the synchronization between the planning item and the execution item. No other configuration is needed. It's already available out of box. If I needed to filter out demand, project, or epics based on some level of criteria, I can even filter this even further to only show maybe those demands or projects or epics that are critical and high. So it allows me even more granular functionality. Give it a name. The owner is going to be obviously your name, the person that created. And we also now give the ability to select, is this a Gregorian calendar or is this a fiscal year? And so now you have the ability to select how I want to visually see that roadmap. And you give it a short description and create. And that's all it takes. Now you have a portfolio plan that you can share and distribute to all team members. So when I went to Alignment Planner Workspace, you'll see that I see on the left-hand side 2 different visibilities. So I went into the Alignment Planner Workspace, I selected my portfolio plan, and now I see on the left-hand navigation, goals and planning. I know this did exist slightly different before because we actually had goals, backlog, and roadmap, but now it's called goals and planning. And when I select into in planning, there are 2 different options or 2 different tabs in planning. One is called roadmaps, which was formerly known as backlog, and the other one is roadmap. So in the roadmap view, it gives you the same functionality that you had before. At the very top, you'll notice that under the lens entity that you see department and HR. In other words, what portfolio plan did I actually select? And it's showing you that this portfolio plan was a department portfolio plan, and it's specifically the entity is HR. So you know exactly which portfolio plan I'm in. Also, I can go in and switch and edit right back to that portfolio if I need to edit that plan right here within the top right ellipsis. The other functionality that we've added from portfolio plans is the ability to share and provide permissions. So if you create that portfolio plan and you only want certain people to have visibility to that, you can either add members or groups to have visibility to that plan. So when they go to their Alignment Planner Workspace, they would see what they have visibility to or what they're editor of. If you wanted to know how many people have access, at the very bottom, manage access, and it will show you all the groups of members that have been added to this portfolio plan. And remember, they can be viewers or editors. So underneath goals, you can see slightly different change to the goals as we provided a brand new tab called Overview, which gives you that KPIs related to the overall goals underneath that portfolio plan that I've selected. So you can see whether it's goals by company or goals by status or work alignment or targets. I could select on any one of those, and by selecting it, it would actually pull up a pop-up that will show you all the goals that are aligned to that specific one drill down that I selected. And that's under the overview. Now the hierarchy is still available. So the same hierarchy that you had in goals is still available, the same functionality of being able to visually see the goals and look at all the sub goals and targets all still exist. An additional function I want to talk about as relates to goals is how do I put those goals, as we talked about, on autopilot. In our November store release, now you have the ability to set those on autopilot because I can automate the collection of that data based on benefit plans, surveys, assessments, or even performance analytics indicators. So I can set that, and then I can also set how frequent do I want to update that target based on those aggregate data that I've selected. Once it's updated the data, underneath the actual value, you're going to see a blue bar that indicates the last time that this target was updated. So you can put those goals on autopilot. On the left-hand side, underneath the home icon, you can see the icon of list. And what makes this powerful is it actually shows you how your lenses and the table structure of the lenses was built. So you could see the 3 out-of-box lenses that were built, organization, product, and strategic lens. It actually shows you the tables that are made up on that particular lens. So as you can see, business lens includes business unit and department. Also at the very bottom, you can see planning items. We show you the planning items that are also included in these lenses. So let's talk a little about export to PowerPoint. Now, as you know, many organizations today are really challenged to take the complex amount of reporting and give it into a very simple approach that all executives from top down can easily open. And so we're continuing to enhance PowerPoint to allow organizations to have their own tailor-made branded PowerPoint templates that gives them the ability to self-service when they want to update it, how frequent they want to update it, and really provide all that flexibility. The other thing that we wanted to enhance is provide additional functionality around conditional formatting. And so I want to walk through a little bit of how do I export it and what does that conditional formatting look like? So it's very simple. If I go into our project workspace If I click on the ellipsis, it's pretty simple. I just click on Export Project, and it brings up the pop-up that I can just simply select PowerPoint and then just select the template, and it will immediately be downloaded right to the browser. Now, if I talk about a little bit what is included in that export to PowerPoint, what can I relate to? You can include all the RIDAC, risk, issues, decisions, actions, and change requests. Also, you can include resource plans, cost plans, project status, and task. You can also include the charts such as cost, plan versus actual, resources, allocation and actual, as well as resources over allocated. So as an out of box, we provide this template that can be customized. It can be configured any way that the customer wants. But in a couple of examples of this, you can see now underneath the status, we show those ellipsis colors. So it's not just a dot, but now we're actually showing you the different colors. We also can highlight fields like actual start date, or you could actually change the font color as you see in probability or priority. Now let's talk about the updates to our project workspace. I know all of you are familiar with RIDAC, and many challenges with organizations today is that being able to manage risk, issues, decisions, action, change requests, and how a potential issue becomes, a decision or an action or a risk becomes an issue. How do I do that? How do I manage that in an easy space? So the new RIDAC board really gives you the flexibility to show, first of all of those in one single view, have that effective way to manage all the problems in one single framework. So what does that look like if I'm thinking about from a visual perspective? In here, you can see that I have all the types, all risk, issues, decisions sorted by. I could change the sort. Maybe I even want to group this by maybe impact or probability. I can create any grouping, any filter, and any sorting right here within it. And if I wanted to drill down into the risk, issues, or decision drill down, it will have the slide pop-up window that will actually bring up that quick editability right here within that screen. Finally, let's talk about a new feature to SPM that's around benchmarking. So benchmarking really is that effective way to manage KPIs as it compares to other peers based on the industries, regions, or even sizes. In order to get visibility to this, it is an opt-in approach, so customers would need to opt in. Another key thing is all this data is anonymized, and we provide really this ability to visually see how you align against other organizations. So why did we build this? Really to provide that really leaders that clear visibility on some key performance indicators. There's really three different areas that you can drill down into. One is strategic, the other one is alignment, and the other one is execution. And each one of these have individual KPIs. If I select a specific KPI, it will actually give me the ability to drill down specifically and look at what the detail that is in that KPI as it compares to my data, so I can see how I compare against others. So here's an example of that dashboard. And you'll see that there are red and green, so you can see where I'm trending as it compares to others. Here's an example if I drill down into a specific KPI, what that chart would look like. So this is a drill down into this specific one. Now let's talk about APM. First thing I want to talk about is our cloud assessment, which allows you to leverage this pre-packaged, really data-driven indicators that help you to evaluate the cost or the risk, the alignment, business value, and cloud readiness. It also allows you to visually assess and prioritize which applications should you move to the cloud or view the business impact to that. And the third item is really objectively decide whether to use the cloud as native, lift and shift, or even decommission applications. So if we drill down to it, the cloud migration analysis allows you really to compare those applications so that you can better evaluate the best fit for migrating to the cloud. Now, the out-of-the-box analysis provides you that cloud readiness, which is on your x-axis, and then the business impact, which is on your y-axis. If you wanted to adjust that x and y axis along those bubbles, you can, of course, go into the configuration and simply check which one do you want to adjust and display those labels based. As far as that scoring profile related to your cloud readiness, out of box, we provide many indicators that you can configure and edit that matches what your cloud readiness standard should be, or add new indicators and drive that readiness based on your scoring profile. Let's talk about our Lucid integration enhancement. So as you know, we have the Lucid integration, which allows you the ability to export, whether it's the status or the business capability map. We've enhanced to allow that roll up of business applications underneath the associate capability. So now I have layers of business capabilities, and now the capabilities on that business capability map diagram. So you can see in the visualization, two different diagrams that allows you to show the capabilities and those capabilities that roll up underneath that capability. So that really concludes the updates to APM. Thank you so much for your time today, partners, and we look forward to future changes and innovation